Hey, how's it going? It's pretty cliche to hear the phrase, it always gets better, from people that are older than you or people that you look up to, telling you that essentially you just kind of have to wait it out, or as you get older, it'll get easier to deal with a lot of your issues. And for me, that is definitely something that goes in one ear and goes out the other. It doesn't really register for me. I think that's just because I'm young and I'm only just now able to see and look back on the progression of my life and see real change. But even so, that's such an interesting position to be in, especially for the first time. And especially as someone who sort of catalogs a lot of the things I'm going through on this channel. Coming up on around 3 years of when I initially started doing this, I can go back and look at, how I was feeling in 2021, 2022, 2023. And some of the times it's like I'm looking at a different person. And it's so strange and definitely a little cringe. But that's a position I haven't really been in. And so many of those issues sorted themselves out over time, without me even realizing the issue went away. It's actually a really good clip. I've never fully watched Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad. It's from one of those shows, but I think I saw it on Twitter or something where, the guy was talking to Saul and he was like, one day you're going to wake up and you're not going to think about it. You're going to go throughout your day and you're going to realize that you haven't thought about it. And that's the moment you realize you can forget. And even though I haven't really watched this show, I think that one little clip really stuck with me. Because for years, there were things that I was going through that were just, permanent fixtures in my mind. And things that would just never leave me alone. And I think if you asked me, I would say, oh yeah, sure, eventually I'll get over it. But there was a little piece of me, sitting in the back of my head that was like, what if I never do? What if I can't move on from these things? What if I am stuck like this? And I think looking back on it, that's a very naive way to think. Life moves on whether you wanted to or not. And, and as a teenager, especially someone in high school, a lot of the issues and, things that might be the most stressful and important things in your life turn out to be, essentially meaningless. Now, I had a lot of issues that were definitely very real. And this isn't to discredit maybe anything that you're going through or anything that I was going through. But I think so many of those things just sort of go away without you even really realizing it and without you even really noticing it. And unfortunately, that is something that you literally do just have to wait and see. But for me, it was liberating, a little bit to look back and sort of laugh and sort of cringe at the old videos that I used to make on here. Ones from even just a year ago. And I think I also felt a little sad that I wasn't really relating to the person that I was watching anymore. I was looking at an old me who was very confused, very sad, and didn't really know how to move forward. But it's also important for me to recognize that looking back at those times were, kind of how I got here. Struggling alone through a lot of those really stressful periods of my life and feeling so lost really is what makes you into the person that you end up being. And I think I've always been a pretty sentimental person. I think that I hold on to stuff maybe a little bit for maybe a little too long. I'll hold on to old memories, I'll hold on to old things that might remind me of certain people or certain times in my life. I've talked about before, I think, but I have certain Spotify playlists for different times of the year. I like to catalog how I'm feeling with this channel or with diaries. I'm super sentimental. And I think that's kind of to a fault. And I think I've talked about before, but I ended up really holding on to a lot of those memories that were causing me so much pain. I was holding on to these issues that held, at this point, really no meaning in my life, and it was making me miserable. But I really just didn't want to let go, and to be honest, I still don't want to let go. There are times when I'll think back on, even recently, I'll sort of think back on 2021 even, and I'll be like, wow, that was so long ago. And I have trouble remembering, I think, a lot of details about, whoever I was talking to around that time. What was I so stressed about? What does this feeling even mean to me anymore? I get this pit in my stomach, but at the same time, I don't even really remember why. And it's sort of a scary feeling because it sort of reminds me that, oh shit's gonna keep moving whether I want it to or not. And I can't really control that. And I think it's important to move along with it. To recognize that, to hold on to, maybe some of the memories that are, near and dear to me, but I can't let those memories from, almost 5 years ago dictate my everyday life now when I'm in a completely different situation. I see a lot of people, and I think a lot of these people sort of reminded me of myself, who were just basically living in the past, making all these decisions, and seeing people who maybe I think I related to a little bit, who were stuck in the past. And it made me sort of sad, it made me think about myself and how hard it is for me to really live in the moment sometimes. I think it's so easy to want to stay stuck, to want to stay in that hug box, that comfortable place. Maybe you're miserable, but it feels safe, safer than going out and experiencing new things and pushing past your current struggles. There are a lot of times when I look at the adults around me, a big part of growing up has sort of been observing the adults around me and seeing, how similar to essentially teenagers they are. I think it's a pretty common experience, is sort of becoming disillusioned to the adults around you, because you grow up thinking that they know everything and that, they have it all figured out. And then as you become an adult, you realize, oh shit, these people have no idea what's going on. And I try really hard to not become like that. I try really hard to be in tune with reality and my feelings at the same time. But I think sometimes that's really hard. Sometimes your feelings, while valid, cannot be representative of what's actually going on. Is this person really upset with me, or am I just, playing it up in my head? Stuff like that. This video is very much so me rambling, just like all my other videos are, but I sat down the other day and I was watching some of my old videos, and I was starting to cringe at them. And I have always thought that when I'm able to cringe at my past self, that means I'm making progress. That means I'm moving on. And I think it was, liberating in a way to look back on some of the most dark periods of my life and feel a sense of cringe. Feel a sense of, wow, I really have grown, since I made that. And having that feeling after being stuck for what feels like years, it was really special to me. And I really don't know how to communicate that. I hope I have. I haven't really been uploading all too much, just because I don't want to force myself to sit here and talk about things I don't really care about. I do have a video planned for the end of the year that's going to be a pretty long one, but I'm also not really going to say all too much because I don't want to hold myself to that, because there's a very real chance that I never even end up making it. But I am working on a pretty substantial video for the end of the year, and I'm also going to try and upload here and there in between that, but I've been so busy recently. And I've also been sick. I've gotten sick like what feels like 20 times in the past couple months, so yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be it for today's video. I got Twitter and stuff in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, see you guys.